Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. The soft glow of the morning sun streamed through the half-open blinds of Katie Bates Clark's cozy living room, casting long, gentle shadows across the walls. The air felt heavy, unusually still, as if the world itself had paused in respect. Katie sat curled up on the worn, navy blue sofa, a cup of untouched coffee warming her hands. Today wasn't supposed to feel like this. Today was supposed to be ordinary. But nothing about this morning was ordinary. Just yesterday, the news had hit her like a lightning bolt, a sudden, unexpected loss that left a void so deep it felt almost tangible. She tried to replay the moments, the conversations, the laughter, and the small, everyday gestures that once seemed so trivial but now felt impossibly precious. Memories flickered through her mind like an old home movie, scenes of warmth and love she hadn't realized she had taken for granted. Katie's eyes wandered to the photo on the mantelpiece, a smiling image of their loved one, their eyes sparkling with mischief and kindness. She reached for it instinctively, her fingers tracing the edges as if touching it could somehow bring them back. Her chest tightened, a mix of grief and longing, and tears began to slip down her cheeks, unstoppable. "It's not fair," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Why so sudden? Why now?" Her hands shook as she picked up the small box that had been delivered earlier, unopened until now. Inside, she found little reminders of the person she had lost, a handwritten note, a pressed flower, a tiny charm bracelet. Each item was a thread connecting her to a past that now felt impossibly far away. The note, in familiar handwriting, made her choke back a sob. "Remember the laughter, Katie. Hold it close, even when I'm gone." Katie's heart ached with the paradox of grief, the pain of absence intertwined with the warmth of memory. She thought about all the conversations left unfinished, all the stories they would never share. Her mind raced back to simple, everyday moments, the way they always had coffee together on Sunday mornings, the way they laughed over the smallest jokes, the way they never missed a birthday or a milestone. Now, those memories were both her comfort and her torment. Feeling the weight of sorrow pressing down on her, Katie walked over to the window. She stared out at the quiet street below, the world moving on as if nothing had changed. She wanted to scream, to shake the universe and demand justice for the sudden emptiness that had invaded her life. But all that came out was a whispered plea, "I miss you so much." Her phone buzzed softly on the table, a message from a friend offering condolences, a lifeline of connection. Katie typed back a simple response, her fingers trembling. "Thank you, it means a lot." But the words felt hollow. No message, no call, no gesture could fill the space left behind. As the day wore on, Katie found herself drawn to the small garden in her backyard. The flowers, bright and resilient, seemed to mock her grief with their unyielding bloom. She knelt beside them, running her fingers through the soil, imagining the hands of her loved one once tending this very garden. Memories flooded back, sun-drenched afternoons planting seeds, laughter echoing across the yard, shared moments that seemed ordinary then, but were extraordinary now. In the midst of her sorrow, Katie realized that grief wasn't just about loss, it was about love. The depth of her pain reflected the depth of their bond, and even though they were gone, their presence lingered in the world around her, in the photo, in the garden, in the echo of their laughter. It was a bittersweet realization. The ache would never fully go away, but neither would the love that remained. By evening, Katie found herself sitting at the piano, one she and their loved one had often played together. She pressed the keys softly, filling the room with a melancholy tune. Each note was a tear, each chord a memory, each melody a tribute. She allowed herself to cry openly, letting the music carry her grief outward, transforming sorrow into something tangible, something almost beautiful. Later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, Katie lit a single candle. She placed it next to the photo on the mantelpiece, a small beacon in the growing darkness. Sitting quietly, she whispered into the flickering light, "I'll remember you, always, every day, in everything I do." In that moment, Katie felt a fragile peace settle over her. The grief was still there, sharp and raw, but it was now accompanied by a gentle warmth. She realized that while the suddenness of death could steal moments, it could never erase love. That love, she knew, would continue to live, a quiet but enduring presence in her heart. Katie stayed there for a long time, holding on to the memory, letting the tears fall, allowing herself to feel. She understood now that mourning wasn't about forgetting, it was about remembering with intention, cherishing the love that death could not take. And as the candle flickered, casting soft shadows across the room, she whispered once more, this time with a hint of resolve, "You'll always be with me, in every laugh, every tear, every memory." And for the first time that day, Katie felt that maybe, just maybe, she could face
Clark
tomorrow.
Sat quietly in her favorite chair by the window, sunlight streaming softly across the living room. The house was silent, the kind of silence that feels heavier than words. She clutched a worn photo in her hands, fingers tracing the outline of a familiar smile, one she would never see in person again. The suddenness of it all still felt unreal, a cruel twist she wasn't prepared to face. The day had started like any other. Katie had woken up with her usual energy, busy preparing breakfast and checking on her children. But by late morning, her world had shifted entirely. A phone call, brief and distant, had shattered her reality. In mere seconds, someone who had been her anchor, her confidant, and her friend was gone. Gone, without a chance for goodbyes, without a moment to hold on to. As the hours passed, Katie found herself surrounded by loved ones, their faces etched with the same shock and grief. Friends and family gathered to offer comfort, their words gentle, but nothing seemed to fill the gaping void left behind. Every laugh she remembered, every shared secret, every quiet evening spent together came rushing back in painful clarity. It was impossible to focus on the present when the past felt so vibrant and alive. She remembered their last conversation vividly. They had laughed over something trivial, a memory that now seemed almost sacred in its simplicity. The warmth of their voice, the easy comfort of their presence, it was hauntingly absent now. Katie pressed the photo to her chest, letting tears roll freely. She hadn't realized how much she had relied on those everyday moments until they were gone. The grief wasn't just in the tears, it was in the empty spaces, the chair they would have sat in, the voice that would have called her name, the laughter that would have filled the room. Every little reminder cut deeply, but it also reminded her of the immense love they had shared. She could feel that love lingering, a quiet echo that made the sadness almost beautiful in a bittersweet way. As the day turned into evening, Katie took a deep breath, trying to find some sense of peace. She opened a small journal, the one she had kept for years, and began to write. Words tumbled out, memories, feelings, fragments of conversations, and the stories that made their time together unforgettable. Writing was her way of holding on to them, of keeping their spirit alive, even as her heart ached with loss. Family members joined her, sitting in silence or sharing memories. Each story brought a mixture of laughter and tears. Katie realized that grief wasn't something to rush or hide, it was something to live through, to let fill every corner of her being until it became a part of her story too. Though nothing could replace the presence of her loved one, she could honor them by remembering the joy, the lessons, and the love they had shared. By the time night fell, Katie felt a quiet strength begin to return. The grief was still there, raw and powerful, but so was the love. And in that love she found a sliver of hope that even in the sudden absence of someone so cherished, their memory could guide, comfort, and inspire her to continue forward. Katie knew the road ahead would be long, filled with waves of sorrow, but she also knew she would carry them in her heart forever, letting their spirit live on in every act of kindness, every smile, every story she shared. In the stillness of that night, Katie whispered a quiet promise to the one she had lost. "I will remember you, always. Your love will never leave me." And in that moment, between the tears and the aching emptiness, she felt them close once more, wrapped around her like a warm, comforting embrace.